What's up, guys? I'm here with Danielle Mills, just kicking it in Brickell. Now, Danielle is a young Miami blogger, but before we even get into all that, I wanted to talk about your start in tennis. You were once a professional tennis player. Tell me, how did you get your start?
So I first started playing tennis when I was 3 years old. My dad actually was the one that introduced me to it, and when I started initially, I wasn't even really into it like that. But after just training a ton and at the age of 10, I moved from Rochester, New York, where I was born, to Bradenton, Florida, to this world-renowned tennis academy called IMG, and that's where I started boarding there and training there and getting into tennis.
Okay, I'm actually glad that you brought up IMG. Now, you said IMG is a boarding school for tennis that trains you and prepares you for the sport. Now, I want to know, that's in Florida, and you're all the way from New York.
Right.
Was there any type of hesitation for you moving all the way from New York to Florida?
Absolutely. It was a big deal because I was really young and I was going to be going there on my own, but I knew that I wanted to be professional, and that was the best place for me to go because the tennis in New York wasn't as great because it's so cold, so you couldn't play year-round. So the reason why I needed to go to the sports academy was so that I could train with the best of the best and be around everybody wanting to be a professional. My dad was all about it. My mom was a little bit more hesitant, but because my dad, this was not only my dream, it was his dream too. He's definitely like a sport parent, and he knew that this was the right place for me because this is a world-renowned tennis academy. They've basically produced more than 15 #1 players, and he knew that putting me there, like, something good is going to happen.
We don't realize the big picture of what something could be.
Absolutely.
And do you feel like, as a child, starting so young, do you feel like you knew to take tennis seriously so early on, or was it more so just a hobby at first?
I definitely knew that tennis was like the serious thing that I was doing, and that I knew that I wanted to be professional. So I definitely took it very seriously, even at a really young age.
Wow.
I always had my own coach and everything.
Wow. I want to know, who did you look up to while growing up playing tennis?
Okay, so my biggest role model was Serena Williams.
Of course!
Of course. And it's incredible. I had the opportunity to meet her for the first time when I was 11 years old. I have to throw a picture in here of me and her together. And it was so surreal because she trained also at this academy. She would come in and out between tournaments. So I had the opportunity to meet her. My parents had the opportunity to meet her dad, and it kind of just solidified everything.
Her dad is a legend.
Absolutely.
That man is brilliant.
Absolutely. And he kind of like assured my dad that everything's going to be okay. Like, you're on the right path. You're pushing her correctly. Like, this is the right thing. So it was amazing to get to meet her, actually playing the same tournaments with her. That was incredible.
Wow. Now, you turned professional at the age of 14. That is very young. Now, I want to know, what was your mindset during that time? Like, was there ever any hesitation?
I would say no, because prior to becoming a professional, I was extremely successful on the junior circuit. So always being like a top 50 junior across the country, and then starting playing in the World Junior Tournament. So I was basically on a professional schedule as a junior. I was traveling all over the world playing junior tournaments. So I knew once I hit the age where you could turn professional, which was 14, I immediately played my first professional tournament in Mexico, and actually won my first professional match. It was incredible. But when you're like on a path and you're kind of like born to do something, you know, like, this is the next step. In that academy setting, like, your sport was everything. School was more secondary. So school for me has always been a little bit more secondary because tennis was the forefront. But I obviously value education too. But my training schedule was very intense.
And dedicating your life to tennis for so long, what would you say is your biggest accomplishment that you're most proud of?
Ooh. Okay. So, two biggest accomplishments. Okay. The first biggest accomplishment was when I had the opportunity to get a wild card. So I got a wild card into one of the top 10 tournaments in the world, where I was competing with the Serena Williamses, the Sharapovas, all those people. And I literally walked onto a stadium court with thousands of people watching me, and just knowing, like, I belong here. Then my second biggest accomplishment, I would say, would be winning my first tournament, like the first professional tournament. It was absolutely incredible. That was in Portugal. And the feeling, you just felt like all the work you put in, you just finally get the reward from it. That's like the best feeling ever.
So your career was cut short due to injuries. Tell me more about the type of injuries that you sustained.
Okay, so I've always been a really tall person, and I grew really fast, really young. So my knees were always an issue for me, but they never prevented me from playing at a high level. But when I went to college, I played tennis at the University of Miami. The workouts that they were having us doing were very football related. They weren't tennis specific. So we were doing a lot of heavy squatting, a lot of heavy stuff, which is not the best for tennis. And I noticed that my knees started hurting even more. So while I was playing in college, I also was still playing professionally during the summers.
Wow.
So
So
I was
you
doing
never
both.
had a break, and that was taking a toll on your
Yeah,
body.
that too. So once I was playing professionally and my knees were still like kind of messed up, I started noticing that this was not just a normal pain I was dealing with. I was having to take 8 or 9 Advil per match because of the pain of my knees. And when you're in a sport and you're an athlete, your coaches, people around you, they want you to be tough. So you can say things are hurting, but they're saying that's normal.
They're pushing
They're
you through
pushing you through it, and you're tough too because you don't want to look soft either. So you're
Right.
playing through things. But when you start noticing that you can't even walk around without pain, I started speaking up. I'm like, okay, this is beyond just me. I'm not complaining here. This is serious because I don't just bring something up to bring it up.
Right.
So I got some X-rays done, and it turned out that I had both of my meniscus torn in both of my knees, and that had been like that for months.
Wow.
Without me knowing it and playing on it and competing with it.
Wow.
So I had to make a really tough decision of, do I get surgery or do I continue to play, get shots, and do everything else? So before making the decision ultimately to get surgery, I did something that's called PRP, which is basically they stick like a really big needle into your knees, they pull out blood from inside and they spin it really quickly so that the platelets separate from the blood and they re-inject it into your knee, so to help it like facilitate growth and stuff like that. I tried that. It didn't really work very well. So I basically tried a lot of different methods before ultimately having to do surgery. So after I did surgery, I recovered. I just felt like I never fully healed 100%. And I just started noticing that I wasn't moving as quickly as I used to move. I was starting to lose to people I used to beat. I started
How
mentally.
frustrating was that?
And mentally, you just feel like this is not me. And I ultimately had to make a decision from being a primarily singles tennis player, like a one-on-one, to having to be a double specialist.
Wow.
Because my movement was so faltered because of my injuries. But then later on, towards like the very end of my career, while I was doing that, I still was noticing this is still very painful.
Right.
And I played a tournament in Mexico that I'll never forget. And I literally was just sitting down. I went to tie my shoe, nothing crazy. And after I tried to get up, I couldn't move. Like my back was stuck. So I ended up having 3 herniated discs in my back without even doing a tennis specific injury.
Wow.
It was the strangest thing. I was in a really hard crossroad. I was 23 years old at that time, and I was thinking, I'm 23 years old. Is this what I should be doing? Like, I don't feel right. I know I need to like keep pushing through it, but you start second guessing yourself and thinking like, what am I gonna do when I'm not doing this anymore? Like, is this my life? So that was mentally just so much, but I kept going with it. Kept playing tournaments. I was still doing well in doubles, but all of a sudden you just randomly would feel things and it just didn't feel right. So that's kind of what I was going through.
Okay, how hard was it for you to make that final decision? Like, okay, I'm gonna have to walk away because this is weighing down on my body. How hard was that?
That was probably the hardest decision of my life, because you go with something that you've been doing since you're 3 years old. That's all you know. That's what you're known for. That's your identity. People only associate you with one thing,
Right.
and you're gonna walk away from it and be what and do what? Because I never had a job. I never worked for anybody. I never, these are things you think about when you're leaving, your career to go into the next realm. You're like, what do I do now?
Right.
And for me, it was such a hard decision because that was everything. So I ultimately made it, and I kind of retired on impulse. If I go back and look at it, it was like I lost a match. I was like, I'm done. It's over. My dad's like, what do you mean? You're going on a plane next week to Costa Rica. Like, what's going on? I'm like, no, it's over. This is my body. I'm done.
Would you say your injuries were the biggest obstacle that you had to face in the sport?
Yes. Yes and no.
Okay.
The reason why yes is because my injuries prevented me from playing at the level and the potential that I had. Because I was always very tall. I'm left-handed. Like, I have a lot of weapons. Like, I was a really great player, but I felt like my injuries held me back from reaching the potential that I would have had to play, and I had to retire prematurely at 24 years old.
Right.
Whereas there's still people now playing and they're 30, 31, 32, and I look at them like, I wish I was still playing. But, that happens. And the second thing is, I felt like I always was on the verge of something big. A lot of big matches I had, I was on the verge of winning, and then I would lose. So something I'm really big on, and I focus a lot of my material on, is how you have to focus on what you're in control of versus the uncontrollables. And if you notice, a lot of people that
Like
don't
that
have-
with tennis, with you.
And a lot of people, they don't understand that there's so many things that they are in control of, and instead of focusing on, oh, something's going on with my job or my relationship, or I can't lose weight, or I feel like this, focus on what you are in control of versus the outside things, and that will ultimately get you to where you want to be. I'm big on that. That's like one of my mantras.
Okay, is that because of the whole tennis background?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because of the fact that in my tennis career, I could only control what I'm in control of. Once my body started going, things were all over the place. I knew I needed to move on. So going back to making that decision on retirement, I knew I needed to get out, and I knew if I stayed in it longer, I would have kind of gone out at the bottom versus on somewhat on a top level.
Okay, why social media? Because that doesn't like fall in line with tennis and sports. It's almost something, another outlet. Why social media? Why beauty branding? Why empowering women?
I feel like social media is everything because it's the future. It's the way that everybody looks and watches things. People are kind of getting away from TV, getting away from other mediums. Social media is the one place where you can make a difference and impact people across the world with your message through a video, through like a video, a picture, something like that. It's gonna reach so far.
I feel like your hair, as I was telling you earlier, your hair is amazing,
Thank
girl.
you.
What is it that you're trying to do specifically with beauty? Are you going to focus on just the hair or overall appearance?
Okay, so I've broken down my beauty into a couple different segments. I do beauty as far as hair care, so like curly hair and helping it be healthy and how to get your hair to be a certain kind of curl pattern. Also, I focus on beauty like makeup, also skincare, and just beauty like way of life.
Were you hesitant in becoming a beauty influencer because of, oh, social media is oversaturated with all these beauty gurus? Were you ever hesitant, like maybe there isn't a place for me in this?
Absolutely not. I would say there's so many people doing the same thing, but everybody has a different story. Everybody has a different perspective, viewpoint. Nobody else can bring the background or the experience that I've had to that. And it's all about making it your own, being unique.
Do you feel that you get the same thrill from blogging and from being involved in social media that you get from tennis?
I would say yes. Like when people write you back that your message empowered them or motivated them or inspired them, that's the best feeling in the world. I've always said that influence is so much more important than fame because if you can impact somebody's life, that is the best feeling in the world.
What do you hope to achieve out of being a social media influencer?
I want to just get my message out there. I want to impact as many women as possible. I also want to be a positive role model for kids, teenagers, young adolescents getting into life because I feel like there's so many things that you can do in life and there's so many poor role models out there with reality shows and just different things. It's good to have like a positive role model to look up to and move on with.
So after looking at your journey and starting out in tennis at the age of 3, being a media blogger and moving on to trying to empower women, how proud are you of your journey?
After really thinking about that question, I've never thought of it that way, but I am very proud of my journey. I'm really thankful that I was able to take what I was doing and somehow turn it into something else where I can empower and help other people. And I am very proud of where I'm going and where I'm going to go in the future because I feel like I have a lot more to show the world and I want to impact the world at a higher level. And I think this is just the beginning, honestly.
I think so. Danielle, I want to thank you for this interview. It's been great. I love talking to you about your tennis journey, and you inspire so many. You have so much to accomplish, and I wish you nothing else.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been incredible.